You see, I'm just going to go ahead and say it before I get into the nitty gritty of the video. On surface level, you see Jake Paul fighting a former world champion that's under 40. It's like, oh, he's finally fighting a real boxer, a boxer that's better than Tommy Fury, an actual, a former world champion, somewhat active fighter. And Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a legacy name. But it's Julio Cesar fucking Chavez Jr. The guy can fuck up something as simple as a cup of coffee. This man has broken my heart so many times. The longtime viewers know that Chavez Jr. always had a special place in my heart. And the man has betrayed me so many times that even though I want him to win, I want to believe he can do it. I can't trust him. Let's go look at the resume of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who's going to be taking on Jake Paul Saturday, June the 28th on The Zone. Gilberto Ramirez is going to be taking on Junior Dorticos. That's going to be a very good fight, as long as it lasts. As the co-feature for the WBA and WBO championships. Badu Jack has the WBC, is going to be taking on Noel McCallion on the undercard of Canelo versus Skull in a couple of weeks. Right now, it is April the 21st, 2025. And Jaya Pataya is going to be fighting in June, the beginning of June. Me and Big J, my colleague, did a preview on that fight in our Australian boxing podcast in the video that's uploaded before or after this. He's the IBF champion. So that WBO, WBA defense against the mandatory WBA challenger, Junior Dorticos and Gilberto Ramirez, is a very good fight. Chavez Jr., 54-6-1 with 34 KOs. It's crazy that Chavez Jr. is damn near a 40-year-old man now. When do you turn 40, Chavez Jr., Julio? When do you turn 40? He just turned 39 in February. But here's the thing. He's still kind of a kid. It's like the Italians, like, they can be 60 and they'll die of something. And they'll be like, Jesus, he's just a kid. It's a shame when they go like that. Anyway, when they go young like that. But anyway, listen. The man went life and death with Uriah Hall on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Michael Perry. So already at that point in time, this was last July, he was already being scouted or built up as a potential Jake Paul opponent. Already. And he looked like shit in that fight. He lost to fucking 60-year-old Anderson Silva back in 2021. He lost to this bloke. I covered this fight. I've covered all of these Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fights. Let me tell you, this is how far me and Chavez Jr. go back. Me and Chavez Jr. go back to Sebastian Sebek. This was one of my first YouTube videos. Not on this channel. I was on a previous channel before this one, but this was one of my 2011. I got a video for all of these fights. He hurt me when he lost to Fanfara. He got stopped. And he kept saying he won. It's like, nigga, you got, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's like, you got stopped. And you talking about something, I win. I think I win the fight. In fact, I want to pull up that post-fight interview so you can hear this ridiculousness. This was when I was like, Chavez Jr., you keep hurting me. You know what he reminds me of? I use this analogy for boxing sometimes. And please don't cancel me for saying this. But Chavez Jr., if you're a fan of his, he's like that abusive spouse that, everything was all fine at the beginning. And you're like, wow, I really love this person. And then, you see like the red flags of like anger and unhingedness. And then they haul off and smack the shit out of you one day. And then they promise to say, I'll never do it again. And then they beat you up again. And then you just keep going back and like, why can't I quit you? Chavez Jr. He let me down so many times. Remember when he fought Canelo at Super Canelo, middle, light, heavy weight. This was a catch weight of 164.5. I remember I was doing all these storylines and shit. Y'all want to see? Y'all want to see? Watch this. Look, jump cut. Look at all these Canelo Chavez Jr. videos I did. And this is just a little bit of them. Look. So I really thought that Chavez Jr. had a chance. But if you remember, he was only training to make weight. That was the storyline. He went in there and looked like shit. That was the storyline, is that he made weight. That was the storyline. That was the storyline. I was so hurt. But anyway, take a time out. Like the video, subscribe. I'm TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360. I'm going to be here covering Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Next week's going to be a big week for boxing with the big card in Times Square on Friday, May the 2nd. With Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, the bigot Fimo Lopez versus Arnold Barboza. Then you have Canelo versus William Skull the next day in Saudi Arabia. Then on Sunday you have Inoue, excuse me, I'm always butchering his last name. Taking on Jesus. I forgot who he's fighting, but we're going to be covering that shit. So the point I'm trying to make is, just because it's Chavez Jr., don't trust him. Don't believe his lies. Don't believe his lies. You would think that, well, it's Jake Paul, he should go in there. But I got to be honest, it's going to be a little bit taboo to talk about. But Chavez Jr., the type of guy that will probably take a check or will just show up for the check. Y'all remember the story of, this guy, man, this guy's nuts. Y'all remember the story of after he lost to Canelo, he was hanging out at the casino bar and this dodgy dude came up him with some whores, some Vegas whores. And basically, it's a video out there too. And Chavez Jr. with his homies, they go back to the hotel room. This story's hilarious. Hold on. You got to let me tell you the story. The story was, look at this motherfucker holding up a WBO Latino belt. Like, dude, you never was a WBO champion, Chavez Jr. But anyway, whatever. All right. So he drinking away his sorrows from the performance he did with Canelo. This was after the fight. So anyway, somehow he linked up with some random ass dodgy dude with some whores, and they go back to a hotel room, and no bullshit, it's a video out there, they all rubbing on Chavez Jr. nipples. They all rubbing on his nipples and everything. And apparently they stole his Canelo check. He had a check for his pay from the Canelo fight. They stole a check. They know they couldn't cash it. I'm going to pull up the story. Y'all got to see this shit. They stole the check. They stole his wife's bags. And they stole something else. They robbed the shit out of him. Fucking Chavez Jr. He would be the one. Hold on. Let me pull up that story. All right. So check this out. Married boxer. Notice how they put married. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is robbed of his 40,000 watch by scantily clad women who posted the theft online after losing his Vegas fight. Chavez Jr.'s wife Frida claims scantily clad women robbed her husband. Boxer's $40,000 watch, phone, $3 million check, that's his Canelo check, was stolen. Incident reportedly took place at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Video emerged of Chavez partying with the women, his wife believes robbed him. Frida claims that her husband was the object of a trap after having several drinks, drinking away his sorrows. Chavez's wife also believed that they motherfucking drug him. Chavez was like, they drugged me. They ain't drugging. She blamed the actions in the video on her husband having too much to drink. So listen, as you can see, they are rubbing his nipples and shit. As I told you, like crazy night. But anyway, that's just one of the few Chavez Jr. crazy stories out there. As I said, the guy can't be trusted. We don't know what he's been doing. Now, of course, he has had some substance abuse issues. But can you imagine partying? Just the shit you would probably get into with prime, life living 25 to 32-year-old Chavez Jr. Imagine the sights you would see that night. Riding around Sinaloa with Chavez Jr. Probably barely survive. Yeah, but anyway, the video is hilarious. And he just laying there. They all getting all freaky with the chicks. One of them was just being a whole fucking sex pest pervert. It was kind of disturbing, actually. But anyway, moving on. So I want to be like, yo, Chavez Jr., oh shit, like he gonna lay some hands on Jake Paul. But Chavez Jr. to be the guy to get fucking knocked out. Remember when Mickey Rourke had to look? We're gonna go back down memory lane with Chavez Jr. Like more Chavez Jr. stories. Don't trust him. If y'all don't remember, after his piss poor performance against Danny Jacobs, Mickey Rourke had to escort him out of the arena because they was throwing beer cans and trash and chicken bones and shit at him. Remember that? Fucking Mickey Rourke. What is he? That's random. Like Mickey fucking Rourke, the wrestler. Look. Remember this shit? That is Chavez Jr., ladies and gentlemen. So before you go and say like, yo, Chavez Jr. gonna fuck Jake Paul up. However, what if Chavez Jr. does it? What if he finally lives up to the name of Chavez Jr.? And what if he's the one to finally in the reign of Jake Paul? That's the bright side. That's the bright side. What if he's able to do that? Will he ever be able to live this down? Or when he showed up on HBO 24/7 with his pink underwear, Chavez Sr. down watching tape, trying to prepare for Sergio Martinez, and Chavez Jr. eating cereal and pink underwear while Chavez Sr. up all night chain smoking, watching tape. Like he was disgusted. Not disgusted, he was hurt. You can see he was hurt that night. I remember when he just like put his hands up and put his hand over his face. He loved that boy, man. That's his son. That's his baby. But once again, you can't trust the guy. You never know what Chavez Jr., especially these days. You never know what Chavez Jr. is going to show up. But if he was to pull it off, he should retire. But let me go to a very important part of the video here. They're talking about Jake Paul fighting Gilberto Ramirez. Now listen to this. If Jake Paul, and I'm going to do a video just on this alone eventually. If Jake Paul beats Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Jake Paul is going to likely be ranked by the sanctioning bodies in the top 15. When you're ranked in the top 15 of the WBC, WBO, IBF, or WBA, for those who don't know, that means you can be chosen to fight for a world title. Let me go further down the trough of alternate reality and this just chaos. If Ramirez goes on to beat Torticos, Jake Paul goes on to beat Chavez Jr., Ramirez goes on to fight Jayo Pataya for the IBF if he wins, or the winner of Badu Jack Noel McCallion, unified 3 belts, go after the 4th one. Jake Paul could possibly fight for an undisputed championship at cruiserweight with the right matchmaking on his side. I think that's what they're angling towards. That's horrifying. That's terrifying. We need to make sure that shit don't happen. So Chavez Jr., he can save us. He could be the savior. He could be the hero we always thought he could be. Finally, at 40 years old, he could pay for the sins of the father. He could make everybody proud. I want to believe in you, Chavez Jr. I want to believe, but you hurt me so many times. I can't do it. No, I can't do it. Why don't you just leave me, Chavez? Leave me. Fucking Mickey Rourke. Anyway, where's the fight taking place? Let's see. Where's it going to be happening? I was in Cali, too. Whew. Chavez Jr., don't hurt us, man. Don't hurt us, Chavez Jr. Let me see. Is there any recent footage on his IG? What is he looking like these days? He got a story up here. Oh, shit. First fight I ever saw his. Come on, Chavez Jr. I want to believe, man. I want to believe, Chavez. Look, oh, memory lane. I want to believe, Chavez. I want to believe. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe on TstreeT Controversy with 5U360.